Hi, my name is Dr. Esther Lamar Jean, and I'll be walking you through an example of a thought experiment. To show that our recommendations are actionable, doable, and useful, and that thought experiments have great potential for making theory advancements, we describe an original thought experiment in the area of allyship. Consider the following theoretical propositions based on an existing theory. Dominant group allies should A, exhibit characteristics of both affirmation and informed action, and B, demonstrate supportive contact or demonstrate care towards the beneficiary and oppose workplace inequality. Some researchers have placed the value of allyship on the advantaged group members who are interested in positive intergroup relationships and social justice. But this is a point of theoretical contention because there's a different perspective that the value of allyship is determined by the intended beneficiaries. We therefore conducted a thought experiment to clarify who should determine the value of allyship, a well intentioned ally or the intended beneficiary. The first step in the process involves deciding whether a thought experiment may be appropriate and useful approach for making a substantial theory advancement, and if yes, which type would be best. Decision point one, is there a need to confirm or disconfirm theory? In our illustrative experiment, there is a need to confirm or disconfirm the theory regarding the understanding of allyship. Our rationale is based on the theoretical tension regarding who determines the value of allyship. Decision point two, can an imagined scenario model the theory? A story-like narrative scenario can be imagined where the theory is tested efficiently and effectively. Therefore, our answer is yes. Specifically, a situation where allyship theory is tested in a relatable and understandable situation would be useful. Decision point three, is the theory well developed? While the theory is being applied in a relatively new OB context, the theoretical propositions are considered from later stage theory. Consequently, our answer is yes, theory in this domain is pretty well developed. Finally, decision point four, is the theory confirmation or disconfirmation? The fourth decision point asks whether the goal is theory confirmation and disconfirmation. The purpose of our thought experiment is to confirm existing theory. Based on the decision tree summarized here, we can see that a type 3 thought experiment is the most appropriate. Let's get into the thought experiment. Winfrey, a junior faculty member recruited 3 years ago as a part of a university-wide faculty diversity and inclusive initiative. Dr. Manigault is a white male recruited to the department 10 years ago from a very prestigious university and has quickly risen through the ranks into informal and formal leadership in his department, in the university, and in the field. During the initiative, Dr. Winfrey, a young African American woman, was the only junior faculty member recruited to the University School of Business. Dr. Winfrey is also the first African American Latina woman to be recruited into a tenure track position in the department. She recently had her third year review and received an additional year of reprieve to improve her dossier after appealing with the dean a recommendation from the review committee not to renew her contract. Specifically, the committee cited her lack of progress on publications in the field and not being a visible part of the department's academic community. Dr. Manigault feels compelled to support Dr. Winfrey as he played a really significant role in recruiting her. So he invites Dr. Winfrey to an informal meeting to discuss her email formally responding to the department's review process and her appeal. In her email, she lists three concerns that she hopes to discuss during their meeting. Her concerns include one, the lack of community in the department and her inability to connect with colleagues. Two, although she has not met expected benchmarks regarding publications, her scholarship is mainly qualitative, which she argues requires more time in the research and review process. And three, she's been overwhelmed with the service requests for diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and feels pressured from colleagues and higher ups to serve on time consuming committees. Paradoxically, Dr. Winfrey's request from Dr. Manigault, the department chair, is to lobby on her behalf within the department and externally to renegotiate her benchmark requirements for tenure and dissuade others from requesting her participation in service work related to DEI efforts. However, Dr. Manigault believes that asking for either on her behalf would compromise her standing in the university and shed a negative light on the department that wants to uphold rigorous requirements for faculty tenure. For the paradox to exist, several assumptions are rejected. Dr. Manigault has experience supporting women colleagues in this context. Dr. Winfrey has already acted on her own behalf. Dr. Winfrey knows which colleagues in the department voted against her tenure. And finally, that Dr. Winfrey has substantial knowledge of the organizational systems of the university. Explicitly stating rejected assumptions allows the thought experimenter to conduct the exercise within certain boundaries. Here, we see the options available to Dr. Manigault as a dominant group member. Those options include using his own judgment, consulting and collaborating with Dr. Winfrey on an alternative solution, or enacting Dr. Winfrey's requests as she desires. Here we see a summary of the allyship dilemma Dr. Manigault faces. Our thought experiment confirms key theoretical propositions and advanced theory by invoking self-determination and mentoring theories to determine Dr. Manigault's best course of action. To this end, our thought experiment also resolved a point of theoretical tension in the allyship literature and demonstrated that it should be the intended beneficiaries who determine the value of allyship. In doing so, the difference between effective allyship and performative allyship becomes clearer as a result of our thought experiment. Take a look. That's it. Thanks for joining us.